Welcome to Security Insights with Arvind Dhillon, bi-weekly deep dive into the security insights, strategies, and business innovation. I'm your host, Arvind Dhillon, and today we're going to talk about managing people within your organization and the people outside your organization. We are doing things a little bit different today. I think with a subject like this, we have to think right on our feet. Today, my team come up with some questions, and I will try to answer them right on the spot. I have my producer mic'd up today, and she will be asking me questions, and I will try to answer my best.
Hi everyone, this is Tuche.
Also, if you have any questions or comments about this episode, you can send us an email, add me on LinkedIn, or you can reply below. So whether you're a security professional, industry insider, or someone looking to stay ahead in the security industry, this episode is for you. With that said, let's get started. Managing people seems simple, right? Hire smart people, give them directions, and get the results. But let me tell you, it's not that easy. To manage different personalities in the room, to manage the culture, to manage different skill set, to know when to step in or step back out. Many people learn the hard way. So in this episode, I would like to discuss how we can coach our employees, lead the teams stronger, and build a successful companies.
Okay, so today we all gonna talk about managing people. And I think we should start with what makes a great manager?
Managers need to build a trust with their employees by coaching them and guiding throughout their careers. The biggest challenge I see managers have with direct employees is that they are unable to connect with them on a human being level. There's always a autonomy of a boss versus an employee, and that doesn't really help grow the team. I think managers need to be coaches versus the boss. The biggest difference between a coach and a boss is boss gives orders, and the coach coaches people to succeed in their careers. Not only coaching is much better way where managers can connect with the employees, it's also a well-being for the company culture.
We think one of the hardest part when it's come to choosing a new team member is while they're onboarding. How do you approach to this onboarding process?
Hiring and onboarding is very, very important, and it's crucial in someone's journey as an employee. First 90 days is the very, very crucial time where employees are looking for a constant feedback from the managers. Cultural versus skill set. They need to be able to fit into your company culture versus a skill set, because skill set can be taught, but the cultural differences are very hard to manage. So it's very important that you hire right people that will fit into your culture. And then setting expectations in first 90 days is also one of the most important things. If your employees don't know what is expected of them, they will not be able to succeed at their job.
You mentioned repeatedly about fitting into company culture versus improving their skill set, specifically in the first 90 days. What do you mean by that? What do you do to fit them into this specific company culture? Or can you tell us more? What is the company culture you are talking about?
In our business, we have clear expectations of culture that are just not our values written down on a piece of paper, but we actually live day to day with those cultural expectations.
One of the most important aspects of managing your people is dealing with conflict, especially between yourself and your employees. When a conflict arises with an employee, how do you approach resolving it?
Conflict is one of the hardest thing to deal with as managers. We as managers cannot play favorites to anyone. We need to deal with different personalities in a different manner. You cannot assume that the way you deal with yourself is the same you can deal with your different personalities of each employee. So to deal with the conflict, it's better to listen to them, let them do all the talking. I'll ask the same question from the employee according to what they are saying. So you want to start with saying something like, so I'm hearing that you're saying blah, blah, blah. Because sometimes they could mean a totally different thing than what you're actually hearing.
Without naming names, do you have any examples of times when you came into conflict with one of your employees? What caused the conflict and how did you deal with it?
A few years ago, we had a technician that we hired from another company. He had a really good skill set, but he was just not fitting into our culture. Not fitting in, meaning he was consistently late. He was always stuck in traffic, and he always had to go home early. The team that we have right now, all the other techs, most of the time they are always on time because we work on a setup on an appointment basis. So the customers are expecting us. Yes, you can be 5-10 minutes late, but with the clear communication to the customer. But you can't be consistently 15-20 minutes late without any communication with the back office or the client. So clearly that was a big conflict we had. And even though we tried to give him the clear instructions that, hey, our culture here is that if we are running late, we are going to tell the office or tell the client, so the client knows what to expect. But in this particular case, it was he just couldn't come to the terms that he didn't think it was important to communicate. So we had a big conflict between the clients and the employee.
Did he just simply refuse to be on time, or did he just say yes and continue and never actually performed it?
He didn't refuse to be. He didn't refuse that he can't be on time. He might have tried, but it was just from his previous employers. His wherever that he worked was not that important. But when he came to work for Covert, it was important to Covert and all the Covert managers and Covert employees to be on time. So it was just a different kind of a conflict that we had with the different personality, maybe, and the personality of the company. It just does not align.
So did you have this one-on-one private conversation with him, or how did it go?
So I in the first 90 days, that's why when I talk about that first 90 days is very important. So one of our managers, he knew that being on time is very, very important to us, and clear communication. So that was one item on our checklist that this particular employee was consistently missing that. And even though having talks with him on numerous occasions that how important the communication is or how important being on time is, but he just could not come to the grasp. If we let it go beyond 90 days and he didn't know that what is expected of him, then that would have been a big problem for the company and for all the other employees.
So after 90 days, he was let go, kindly?
He was let go before 90 days.
Actually, you answered our next question, kinda, but maybe we can turn to more like a message to other business owners that dealing with a similar thing. So I was going to tell you, Let's say, for example, I'm the owner of a new security company and one of my techs is consistently late to their site calls. And I come to you for advice how to talk to them about it. What would be your advice? What should I do?
My advice would be to have a one-on-one conversation with the tech about how important it is to be on time and the clear communication between yourself or the customer. Because sometimes you will see that different personalities or different cultures don't really put this on a priority list. So if it's important to you for being on time, then you have to have the conversation with them and give them clear instructions that 8 o'clock means 8 o'clock, not 8:05.
Okay, so let's say I did that and I already have one-on-one conversation and the problem didn't resolve. Should I wait and give it more time or what should I do?
If it's a new employee, I would say that you need to give that a little bit of a time, because sometimes people are just trying to fit into the company and they have to change their behavior, what they're used to in the past. So sometimes it's good, but at the same time, it has to be dealt with within 90 days. Because if you consistently have the same problem, then I can bet that the problem will exist past 90 days. And then you have a whole set of other challenges, because the techs that are on time all the time will not accept that if you hire someone that's always consistently late, whether that's 5 minutes or 2 minutes or 10 minutes, right? So then your A team players will not want to deal with a C player on your team.
So it will be affecting the whole team overall. One bad decision that a manager accepts to continue with those employees.
100%.
In addition to your security companies, you also manage a number of other businesses in a variety of industries, including real estate and hospitality. How does managing employees in the security industry differ than the other businesses, other industries?
So in construction industry, it's a lot different than different way to deal with the people or employees than you would do in a security tech world. In a construction, its contractors are usually never on time. That is that is the truth in that situation, because the jobs are constantly running late. They are constantly the supplies are not available, whether to buy them or just to bring them on site. So if the employees show up to the site without the supplies they need, obviously they will not be able to finish the job. So hence they will not finish the job.
So timing is something accepted. It's not a deal breaker as a conflict in the construction industry is when compared to security industry. So if we are saying construction industry, what is the deal breaker there with an employee? What is the biggest issue then?
Yeah, so in a security industry, you have to be on time and it's expected that you have all the supplies. You cannot show up to someone that got robbed. They call your security company to install cameras or alarm and then show up with half the parts and leave them vulnerable for another day. So it's very, very important that your office is set up in a way that all the supplies are readily available for all the technicians, so they can take it and install it at the job site. Where if you're a plumber or electrician, if you're missing some pot lights or some hanging lights, it's not that big of a deal. You can always go back and install it the next day if you don't have the proper supplies. It does bring up the next question of employee morale. If your office is not set up or office isn't giving you the full supplies and you are going to the site, and the tech is going to the site, will be will not be happy if he's missing half of the supplies, because he is under the pressure to install the alarm system, get it up and running before he leaves for home. Techs don't want to be thinking about that. Oh, we missed this motion sensor because my office forgot to pack it.
As a security provider, your employees get a large amount of access to your clients' properties and businesses. How do you make sure they don't misuse this access?
That's a great question. Data privacy is, we take it very, very serious. Yeah. Not just at Covert, but as a security industry as a whole, because we do get a lot of insights into people's personal lives, into their personal properties. So we have a software that we use that only allows employees to access that data when they are assigned to that job site. They will not be able to access it after hours or if they're not assigned to that job site. So that's why when we schedule a service call, all the employees don't get access to their days, all of the day of the service calls. They only get access to one appointment at a time. We always had challenges in the past where techs would like to know they would like to know their schedule for the whole day, but due to privacy concerns, we're unable to give them access to the appointments of the whole day. So in our business and in the covert security, our practice is that we only provide link to one appointment at a time, and within that time that the tech's supposed to be there. If the appointment's booked between 10 and 12, the tech only has access to that site or to that data only between 10 and 12.
Okay, so let's talk about that one specific technician then. That technician has that day, that service call, and he has the data. And the job is finished, but how do you know he can screenshot or he can get some personal information or contact information? Or when they're on the site, actually, they are having quite a bit amount of an access to that place because they are in there. How can you control what's going on in there without seeing?
So in BC, all the security industry people, they have to do their fingerprinting. They have to have their criminal record check, and they have to every year renew their license. It's called a security employee license or a security business license. So there's a whole bunch of trust that is built into the system. So we have to be mindful that all these employees adhere to the law. And yes, like you brought it up, that they could take a screenshot of someone's phone number or someone's email. That can definitely be done, but there is some trust that we have to build into the industry.
Do you also sign some specific contract or some kind of a non-closure like NDA forms with them? Like afterwards, they are not employee anymore with Core Security. And what happened to those information? They are legally like not able to use any of information that they got inside while they're working here, right?
Yes, definitely. All our employees sign an NDA form and a non-compete contract with us when they first join the company, and that is one way to protect us legally and to protect our clients.
So, if you are to give an advice to a startup security business, what they should be careful with while they are hiring a team member or they are just building that team member, they should do this kind of prepared forms. What kind of forms they should sign or have it ahead as a list?
Yes, there's a extensive list that we go through. One is a driver's abstract, criminal record check. Even though if someone already has a employee license, they could that means their criminal record is already cleared. But we do our due diligence by going the extra mile. Then we have a NDA sign and a non-compete business. There's a contract that we follow, and people are any new business owners, they can talk to their lawyer and get them to draft a 2-page or 3-page job offer letter with the employee contract while they're employed.
As the owner now, it's not often that you would get involved directly with conflict resolution. What would need to happen for you to be involved?
So I'm lucky. Usually all my managers, they deal directly with the employees. But if I ever have to be involved, it's 2 non-negotiable things. One is racism, and second is sexual abuse. We take those very, very serious, and it's something that if that does happen within our companies, we have to. I get involved right away.
Are there any issues that a manager came to you that they cannot do anything more? And do they decide if that person stays or they need to be out? Do you involve to those kind of decisions?
I try not to, but I guide my managers because as they might be having challenges with the different personalities. So I try to coach them as saying, listen to them first, repeat what they're saying, and give them a clear communication, whether that's a verbal communication or a written. Some people react differently to verbal than written, or some people react better to written rather than verbal. I always like to be the quarterback for my managers rather than just directly jump into the conclusion with the employees.
So do you want to be involved, or not just involved, but be aware of everything going on? Or do you do like weekly, monthly meetings to touch base and know what is going on? Or do you want to just have a quick summary of overall things and not to be having your time all these small like conflict issues and getting to know that? Do you have some rules with the managers, what they should be telling you or what they should just ignore?
We have a 1-hour meeting every Monday. And that's when usually we discuss all these issues or progress that we have made within that week. And we only started doing this about 2 years ago now. And it's been a tremendous help to the management team and to myself, because now when I have follow-up questions from last week, they have answers for me. It's never an item that we forgot about it and I'm asking 2 months down the road or 3 months down the road. So it helps us quite a bit.
Do you want your managers to inform you regularly in any conflict happening between employees or between them and the employees? Do you want to know every detail, or how do they report to you?
Usually it's not about, it's not all the details that I'm interested in. I'm looking more overall. But as soon as the racism come into effect or a sexual abuse, then definitely I want to be involved and within right away. I don't even like to wait till Monday morning to hear those news, because some things they're very time sensitive, so it has to be dealt with right away.
So you are more involved when it's come to like employee conflicts, when it's come to huge red flags, big importance points, but not between employee conflicts. You don't get involved to those.
Yes. So since about 5 years ago, since we learned about how to set up our clear instructions and the communication path we're going to choose with all the employees throughout the organization, we are having less and less conflict between people.
Oh, that's great. So we talk about onboarding an employee after they get hired, but in the hiring process, what would you say that top 3 most important traits you're looking for in a new employee in the security industry?
3 top traits should be integrity and professionalism, communication, adaptability.
And how do you measure them?
To measure integrity, we usually go through the criminal record check, as we talked about. Give them specific examples throughout the interview process. And then cross-reference with their resume.
And next, adaptability. It is in the hiring process.
Adaptability is also a hiring process. We give them real life examples to solve during the interview process. For example, we might ask someone, okay, you started a job at 12 o'clock, but you're supposed to finish your work at 4 o'clock, but you know that this customer was robbed last night, so they won't be able to sleep at night. Are you willing to work a little bit late that day? So, depending upon how they answer, we can cross-check the answer, see how adaptable they are.
And what was the third point?
Professionalism.
And how do we calculate that?
Professionalism is basically measured on looking at your resume or when you're doing the interview test, and how well put together you are, whether you attended it on time, the interview, you were late, or you dressed up, and whether did how do you handshake with people, eye contact during the interview process. All those traits we mark them down.
Oh, great. So everything is through interview process. You really review every moment of every action that they take.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, here is a hard one. I know you didn't want to talk about this, but it is part of the subject. I think we should definitely do it. So let's try. Let's talk about how you approach letting go of an employee. How do you do that?
That's a tough one. Letting go an employee or a contractor, it's never easy. But sometimes you have to do it for the bigger good, for the team morale. But one thing I've learned is that you have to do it with dignity and be respectful to the employees that are on the way out. I remember one time I had to let go of a manager. I let it go for a few months, even though we were documenting the things that were not fitting within our organization. So we started documenting, and then a few months after the time it came that I had to take this bold step. Trust me, it's never easy, because we have to follow the legal and the compliance in a BC. It's a very, very strict rules. You have to comply to all those rules. But most important thing is that you want to do it with the dignity and give them respect. It's not that they're a bad person. It's just sometimes they don't fit within the organization.
Do you have some kind of strategy or system you follow when decided to let go someone?
Yes, definitely. That's why we have all these probation period. We document everything when the employee started, if they were late, how they deal with some certain situation. Our HR manager documents all those things. That's how we can manage our risk and grade them basically at if they're performing or they're not performing, right? If we want to play neutral, we don't want to take anybody's side on these things, so everything has to be documented. Then we take those hard decisions.
Yeah, that's true. Just one thing I want to ask. There's always a challenge in that one-on-one room when you're trying to let go someone and you're giving the speech. Have you had an experience that you dealt with like high emotion? It can be like aggression, anger, or like sadness, cry. What happened in those? Like, how do you react to that?
Mostly whenever this hard time comes, I always want to have another manager or employee present in the room just for the legal and compliance issues. That's the number one priority. Second one is you want to keep it short. You don't want to go on about the stories that you might have happened in the past. You have already made your decisions and you want to go with that. Third thing is you have to respect them and give them a clear instructions of how the next phase of their life looks like. Whether they need a reference from you, you can always provide them a mutual reference. And then after the person is let go, I also always want to make sure all the other employees' morale is kept in good faith. And that's also very important because you don't want to want the other employees to feel pressured. So you want to have a good communication, clear communication with all the stakeholders.
Being it short, clean, direct to the point, and even actually it's kind of a strategy when you say you're already passing that is accepted, that is that person let go, and after point you're already going to direction. Okay, afterwards, from now on, what happens, or any referral or anything. So you're kind of trying to give some kind of help on that and accepting the situation that past point.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, that is a good strategy. Yeah. What about letting go of an employee for the health of your business? How do you approach letting it go to an employee to regulate your team size or to lessen financial burdens? So more like not performance-based issues, but other type of extreme issues.
Well, touch wood, we haven't had to ever make those decisions. Our company has been always growing year after year. But there was time in 2020, March 2020, when COVID-19 hit North America or worldwide. The business were mandated by government to shut down and lay off all the employees. So we did have to make those tough decisions at that time, where we laid off all the employees only to hire them again after 2 weeks when things are a little bit more relaxed. So that was a big reliever because I didn't want to leave all my employees hanging, but the world was at a standstill at that time and nobody knew. It was a chaos. Nobody knew the answers to anything.
Course security began with a partnership. Can you give an example of a conflict that's arisen with your business partner, and how you handle conflicts with your business partner? How does it differ from conflicts with other higher up members of the company? And also, if you can also tell us about this partnership, how it started, and the different kind of relationship from a manager than the partner, that would be great.
Yes, me and Jazz, we went to high school together, so we have quite a bit of a history together. Conflict to resolve, again, it's a clear communication between each other. We both have a very open door policy with each other, that we can say things to each other that are sometimes not even politically correct. But because we have this history, almost 20 years of history between us, so it's kind of makes it easier, but still, again, conflict is a conflict. It's never easy to deal with those when those issues arise. You ask how I would deal with how it differs from a partner to a manager. Yes, definitely. When it's a manager, we have to be always politically correct within legal. And not only that, we also have to respect each other because we don't have that kind of a history between us, right? So it's a different mindset that you have to have. Example of a conflict you asked. We have lots of conflicts when we were first starting out the business. One was showing up on time for the techs. That was a big challenge between me and Jazz. That I had the mindset that every employee should be ready to go at the office at 8:00, where it didn't matter that much to Jazz. So that was a big conflict that took us a few years to come past that, and it still happens every once in a while. The other thing that I want to bring up in this is business partnership is it's kind of like a marriage. You have to be open with each other. You have to give it a time. And sometimes if someone's in a bad mood, you just have to let those things go. It can never be a one-way relationship. It's always has to be a two-way relationship. Right? So it can be tough, but if you nurture it, give it enough time, you can definitely succeed in a partnership.
So you have this friendship in the personal life, plus you have this business partnership in like this in this within office doors, and it's in the end affects this both different lives and different relationship that you have with us. Did you had any kind of issues that you came to a point that you need to set some rules that after office doors you are different, or it affects all the time each other? This different like partnership and friendship.
Um, there is definitely a fine line between a partnership and a friendship, because if you ruin your partnership, then the friendship is also ruined. So we're both very mindful of that, and we want to be friends for next 40, 50 years, because we have such a big history between us, and we don't want any conflicts between us, right? So um, we do talk about it every once in a while, and there's been times where um, it's sometimes people get hothead, or the environment around you is so hectic that it's sometimes whatever you're saying you don't really mean it, right? So you have to nurture your relationship almost daily, um, and have a clear communication, and then life is good.
That's great. But so, what happens if there was an issue in the personal life, not related to the business, nothing to do with it, and you put some space between you? And how does it affect the business? When you come in from this, like the doors and the office doors in, you have a different face you put it. Does it affect? How do you talk to each other? Because in the end, you have to make decisions together.
Uh, Luckily, we don't let our relationship get to that step. It's always the most I think we haven't talked to each other is probably a couple of days that we haven't talked to each other or saw each other. So it's been a constant reminder that it's the one big family. We don't treat each other separately. We are the same, even in the office or outside the office.
Well, that is great. So you're saying that if it's a partnership came from friendship, you had to extra nurture that friendship, take care a bit extra than a regular friendship because it is also a partnership, and you try to have that fine lines for sure, but you are careful that you are not risking that something gonna affect that partnership, as well as not having any of those conflicts. So you're trying to make everything you can to not to have that conflict.
100%. You have to be respectful of each other, whether that's a friendship or a partnership, and whether that would be your relationship with your employees. You have to be respectful. You have to give them time. You have to give them sometimes some space, in order to overcome whatever the challenges that might be happening. Right? And sometimes you just wake up with a bad mood, and you have to let that go. I've seen where employees come in, sometimes they had a bad night of sleep and they don't want to be really talking to their colleagues, right? So they have to give each other some space.
Yeah, but as a business owner, you don't have that option. Employees can have the bad mood and affect each other, but you cannot have that, correct?
Yeah, luckily, so far, we do come across those issues every once in a while. But again, because we are very clear in our communication, we have the culture in the office where we know how to give space to people, and we always have to be respectful. Doesn't matter how bad of a day you had or a night you had, you have to be respectful to your colleagues, to your managers, to your fellow employees. Yes, the respect goes a long way.
So, do you have any advice for this type of partners that they are friends right now and they're planning to build a business, a security business together, specifically, if we say so, or they are in the making of that business? Do you have a specific advice that you have challenge with, or you wish that you did in a different way in the past?
Yes, definitely. I think if it all starts with, I think in a partnership, any partnership, you have to have the friendship portion to it. Otherwise, you will not be able to last. Um, I've seen lots of partnership ends within 3 to 5 years because they never had figured out that friendship part. Now, friends that are getting together, uh, it's definitely challenging because they have some history between them, and sometimes uh, it all, again, I think if you are looking to get into a partnership with your friend, make sure you have a clear communication. Write down what you expect and what the other person is responsible of, and vice versa. So at the end of the day, there's no miscommunication that, oh, you said this, I said that, or this is not what I was expecting, this is what you're supposed to be doing. So if you have the clear communication, you write it down, whatever things you're responsible for in within your business, then I think that's a partnership can be successful.
Okay, so you're saying the most important is not just the clear communication, but also writing everything down and agreeing to terms. Everything needs to be in written afterwards, even if it's a clear communication that is something talk.
Yes, 100%, because today I might think that something is right. In few years time, it might not seem like it was the right thing to do at that time, right? So if you have a piece of paper that your responsibilities are clear, you can always add to those responsibilities or delete them from there. But to start, I think that is the foundation.
Okay, so that written paper, the terms can be discussed again in a few years to make sure if it's really both sides in the same page, right?
Yes, it's definitely like your wills that most people write it down one time and then they forget about it, but it needs to be changed every couple of years as your financial or family situation changes. So same thing in a partnership, your whatever that contract that you might have or responsibility sheet, it definitely needs to be updated every couple of years.
So partnership is a marriage for sure.
100%. There's no doubt about it. As my wife calls it, like Jazz has a bigger part of my life than she does.
That's the second wife?
That is a second, or I think first wife, because I was friends with Jazz first before I got married.
Now, let's discuss managing people outside your organization, whether they be contractors or clients. For your projects, what kind of contractor do you often deal with? And what are the differences in communicating and managing them? Have you come into conflict with any? And if so, what was the conflict based around?
Mostly the contractors that we deal with is electricians. We try to steer clear from their path because they start the job way before that we get to go in and install. So sometimes when the timelines are crunch, then we do have to work hand in hand with the electricians. The most of the time it's fine, but there's been times where electricians were running late, but our guys were also running the wire at the commercial space at the same time, and now our guys is ladders are in the way, our tools are in the way, so electricians do get a little bit upset at us. But I think that's just bound to happen at any construction site. We make sure that our guys are visible, they're wearing proper safety gear, all our tools and ladders are marked properly, because I find that makes a huge difference. Otherwise, people get confused what tools belong to them, and vice versa. The conflict do arises every once in a while, but if we can train our technicians to steer clear of them, and they know that that's what is expected of them, I find we can usually overcome these issues.
Yeah, so you make sure from your side everything is correctly done. But anyway, something happened. And how do you involve? How do you talk to the other contractor, other business owner in that scenario?
Usually, our first step is always letting the client know rather than directly talking to the contractor. We want to make sure that the client is aware of what the situation is arising at the job site, uh, whether that be a residential or a commercial. All our employees, including office staff, is aware that like that is expected of them. As soon as there's issues at the site, let the homeowner know. And sometimes it's not only verbal communication with the homeowner, we also follow up with the email as well. So at least we have documented our side of the story with the customer.
So it's never dealing directly with the other contractor, because the first hire, the first client is the first part of the communication. You don't deal with them necessarily.
We try not to.
I see. Yeah. Before we wrap up today's episode, do you have any message, any advice to the other managers, other business owners out there?
Yes, we covered a lot in this episode. I hope whether you're a new business owner or a seasoned leader, you got quite a bit of information about how to grow your team, how to deal with the employees, how to stay clear of conflict. As we talked about, what makes a great manager is at the end of the day, clear communication with your employees. That's a wrap for today's episode. Security Insights with Arvind Dhillon. I hope you found some value and it will help you in your career. Now it's your time for homework this week. When you have a free minute or two, please write it down when you are having difficult time managing people, and what should the circumstances were and what the outcome was. Once you have written it down, then you can analyze it, what you would do differently now about what you know now. Then once you've done this, please comment below on this video or send it to us via LinkedIn. Don't forget to subscribe, like, or comment below. And for future insights, please connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram at Arvind Dhillon. Until next time, stay secure, keep your business growing, and see you in the next episode. Okay, that's a wrap for today's episode. Arvind Dhillon with Security Insights.
Security Insights with Arvind.
Oh,